Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 4 of Sentinels from the Ashes, written by Alex Pagnadell and art by Justin Mason. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. So with that said, this issue opens in New Jersey with Kevin calling his dad saying, "You must be in a tunnel or something because he sounds weird." To which Lockstep replied by saying, "I wanted you to know, you don't have to worry about that loan anymore. Because they're gonna leave you alone now. No more sketchy guys eyeballing you in the middle of the night, I promise." And to that, Kevin could only respond by saying, "I don't know what to say." But as a dad doing what he must, Lockstep just answered with, "Just do me a favor and quit worrying and be a kid and trust me." Now this was exactly what Kevin wanted to hear, because he even went as far as to say that he should come for dinner sometimes. With that conversation coming to an end, Miss Ellis pulled up in a truck and asked Lockstep if he needed a ride. And when Lockstep asks how did she find him, she just replies with, "Perimeter knows everything," which means she knows everything. So with that out there, Lockstep still refused and said people have died, which means people will be coming to look for him. Which was something that Ellis was completely aware of, because she said, "This is precisely why I need you to come with me. I have Graymalkin's reputation to think of." Now to this, Lockstep pointed out that he doesn't think she noticed, but he is also grafting. Yeah, he may be grafting slowly, but Mr. Trask tells him it all comes down to the individual metabolism. So from what Lockstep could see, his options are either a cell or a casket at this point. But see, the warden had something else in mind, for she said, "What if I could offer you a third option, one where you wouldn't have to watch yourself transform into the world's biggest Tamagotchi?" So as Lockstep entered the truck and asked if Mr. Trask found a cure, Ellis replied with, "Mr. Trask couldn't find his own keister with a compass. Besides, after that jumbo-sized egg you Sentinels laid in Madripoor, Mr. Trask's is no longer in the picture. And unlike Mr. Trask, Perimeter sees your potential, because Perimeter sees everything." So with that going down, we then transition over to Graymalkin prison with Philip walking into a room with Trask watching a news report about Lockstep taking out a crime syndicate. And during their interaction, Trask points out how under the terms of their agreement, Philip is not permitted to poke around inside of his head. But to that, Philip stated, "It's true Larry you were, but then one of your Sentinels murdered 8 people. So we took a tissue sample from VOIVOD this morning and we identified nanomaterials from both the Mark 6 and Mark 7 Sentinel models." And then Philip asks, "Why do you think that might be?" So with the cat out of the bag, Trask attempted to escape by claiming he had a meeting back in Sioux Falls. But before he could make it to the door, his body completely froze up, and instantly he knew that Philip was controlling him. And then Philip went on to say, "That collar, it dampens your power, doesn't it? I'm told that without it, you're assailed by debilitating visions of the future. That's quite the Achilles heel." So as Trask started to plead for Philip to stop, Philip paused for a second and said, "I could simply excavate the information from your mind, but I'd really rather you just told me exactly what manner of bag are you leaving us holding here." So as Philip continued to attack Trask, we then jumped over to Sawtooth checking in on VOIVOD, and VOIVOD said, "I know you're out there, I know you're frightened, but don't be. Because I'm still me, I'm still VOIVOD." And then he continued to say, "Trask lied, he said grafting was the end, but it's not, it's just a door. A door to step through, you'll see how we're all connected. All family through the boy from the junkyard. But the things Trask did to him, Camila, he sundered that poor boy from himself." And then VOIVOD continues to say, "I can take you to him if you'll let me, for he is in agony and we can help." So as Sawtooth placed her hand, she used its material and created a suit of armor and entered the cell, and said, "I was gonna say, don't make me regret this, but I already do. So come on then, let's go find this junkyard boy of yours." Now following that, we then transition over to Drumfire going to her appointment, the same appointments that she is usually on time to. Because up to this point, Drumfire was overusing her mood regulators. Now the main reason why she was using it so much was because she was constantly seeing Onslaught everywhere she went. So just as the doctor was about to inject her, she freaked out and took off running. And speaking of someone on the run, we then transition over to Lockstep's private meeting with Warden Ellis. And when we get there, Ellis ordered Lockstep to step inside a chamber and not to be afraid. And once he was in there, Ellis then went on to say, "The nanotech in your body can't be removed without killing you, it can only be supplanted and replaced." And then continued to say, "Mutants have had a hand in the creation of Sentinels since the Mark IIs, did you know that? They've been repeatedly compromised by the very plague they were designed to eradicate." It's time to tear it all down and start again, beginning with you. So while Lockstep was being changed, Ellis quickly got a message from Perimeter saying, "I'm sorry to bother you, but there's been a development. The Voivod Sentinel has escaped and 2 guards are down." And to make it worse, Sawtooth helped him. So because of that, Perimeter asked what would she have it do about it. To which, Ellis orders Perimeter to release the hounds. So as the wolves were let loose, we then transitioned back to Drumfire freaking out in her room while looking at a picture of her mother. So with that said, outside of her window she noticed Onslaught looking into her room, just before a massive explosion. With the wall gone, Drumfire walked out and said, "What do you want from me? You killed my mom." And to that Charles, surrounded by Onslaught's arrow, walked up and said, "Yes, Patricia, about that, I apologize for the theatrics, but I've been trying to attract your attention for some time now." And then Charles asked if they could take a moment to talk. While that was going on, we then transitioned over to Sawtooth and Voivod running from the hounds as we get Trask saying, "Do you know why every single Sentinel program ends in failure? It's because it doesn't matter if they're Neo Sentinels, Wild Sentinels, Stark Sentinels, or even Chicken Fried Sentinels. They are all made in the flawed image of their creators. Rigid, parochial, and ultimately self-destructive. Even when they've built themselves, their core directive has persisted like a holy writ: kill all mutants. The idea of Sentinels as a peacekeeping force isn't new, but I thought perhaps one overseen by a mutant, a Krakoan, would be different." Now to this, Philip said, "But you botched the design, didn't you? Another failure." To that, Trask replied by saying, "I didn't design them, I create a Sentinel platform. Without that murderous core directive isn't so simple. Form follows function, I took a shortcut. There was this kid, a nobody from a junkyard in Wisconsin named Justin Seifert. Somehow a damaged Mark 6 found its way into his garage. The enterprising little brat thought he could repair it. Thing of it is, he could, and he did. And this robotic savant without so much as a scholarship did something else too, something impossible. He opened up the development module and he replaced its core directive. Together they had marvelous adventures, this boy and his giant. They even joined the Avengers Academy and got to play hero for a little while. But it couldn't last. The Mark 6 was almost completely destroyed, and the Seifert kid, he died in Avengers Arena issue 9. But the Mark 6, even broken beyond repair, it obeyed its core directive. Even if it had to rewrite the rules of human biology, it wouldn't let the boy die. It flooded his corpse with improvised nanotech and transformed him into something else, something bold and new. Now this pissed Philip off because he went on to say, "The source of your proprietary Sentinel nanotech. You've been harvesting the boy's tissue for your 10 soldiers, haven't you?" Now in Trask's defense, he stated that Graymalkin needed a viable Sentinel program. But that was when Philip countered with, "Your program was an interim measure, a stopgap, because we have one of our own now." With that said, we then transitioned back to Sawtooth and Voivod still battling the hounds. And as they fought, Voivod asked Sawtooth to hold them off for just a little so he could attempt to free the boy. But unfortunately for Sawtooth, the hounds were too much for her to handle. So with Voivod's first plan going up in smoke, he decided to charge in and did what he could to draw attention towards himself. So with all the hounds on him, he then turned to Sawtooth and asked her to carry on his mission as he blew himself up. Now this explosion was way bigger than his previous one, so 9 times out of 10 he is now most likely dead. So with that going down, Sawtooth ended up in the chamber with the boy suspended in a vat, and once she entered, his eyes shot open. And on the last panel of this page, we see Ellis watching the new Lockstep coming online. And on the last page, we see the brand new Lockstep ready to do Dr. Ellis's bidding. And with that said, this issue comes to an end. Now down in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.